Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about multitasking. I'm
Mm.
Keith. I'm Keith.
My name's Rodney. This is the Daily Chronicle. We chronicle our days and this journey that we're on, so we can look back on it, but more importantly, so our daughters can look back on it and try to build a community with you. So, multitasking. I'm currently driving a car, drinking matcha, and talking to Keith about multitasking. So I don't think it's a thing. No. Yeah, I mean, we all do it. I think my hot, not so hot take is, like science has shown multitasking is not effective. Um, and I think what we'll do here is get into that because I think it's more nuanced than that. But Keith, what's your take on multitasking?
Yeah, don't over-index on it as a value that's provided, right? I think
What
there's
does that mean?
this. Yeah, so I think especially in the corporate world, um, we have the tendency to value people who can multitask, right? And what I think is important is understanding what you value in that sentiment, right?
Yeah,
Like,
like almost defining it, because I think what most
yeah,
corporations think of multitasking is actually multiple skills and ability to do multiple things, but not at the same time.
right. Like, it's the ability to juggle. I have this project, and this project. I'm able to deliver a quality project across all three, even if they range in skill set, because I have the ability to do multiple things. Like we both read multiple books at the same time, right? But I'm not reading three books on my desk at the same time. I'm just reading.
That would be wild.
That would be, I don't know how my brain would process any of that
That's
information,
some Sheldon Cooper type stuff right there.
but we're reading multiple books over a period of time within that same time frame, right?
Yeah, which
And
which goes back to words and like defining them, like multitasking, doing different tasks at the same time. And yeah, that's not what that is. Like what you just defined is not doing that.
you got
And I
marker on your finger?
and
You
Keith,
gonna
this
get
is
a
Keith
different marker?
multitasking during the
Yeah,
video.
now this
And
is Keith. Normally this is Rodney's role, but
well, it really just depends who has the kids
yeah.
during
Do
the
you mind
video.
hanging on 1 second and then we'll blow your nose? And then we'll fix your fingernails, okay? Oh, you got it? You got your hangnail?
So my
Okay.
thoughts on multitasking are this: like at a biological level, we multitask actually really well. Like that's like it's a really cool thing. At a cerebral level,
Correct.
we don't tend to multitask very well. And then within that, and the nuance that I was describing earlier is that we all have different degrees of how well we can task switch. I'll call it task switching instead of
Because that's
multitasking.
really what it comes down to is task switching. It's
Yeah.
the ability to bounce from task to task. But at the end of the day, from a cognitive standpoint, it's been scientifically shown like that we don't generally do that well because we cannot give 100% focus to more than one thing at the same time.
Correct.
So if I'm flipping from task to task, the quality of effort and work is going to be degraded on each individual task versus if I'm able to focus for an hour on one thing and then switch to something else, but I'm dedicating that 1 hour. We have a special guest here, creeping her head.
What's
Um,
happening?
and so if we're able to focus on for an hour and dedicate that time to a task and then go to something else, that is potentially effective multitasking. But if you're doing email and you're on a phone call and you're trying to answer voicemails and you've got all these other things that you're trying to do, you are going to miss a lot of potential value that you can
Yeah,
add or contribute. Yeah.
and science has also shown that there's actually a cost for task switching, and
Yes.
in that there's some lost productivity. Now there are things you can do in between tasks to lessen that, eradicate it, as simple
Right.
as taking a deep breath or three. Like something
Right.
just to ground you before you move into the next thing. And yeah, so but I think different people, like, I think our ability to task switch is different. Like my ability to go from this task to that task is different than yours, Keith, which is different than my
Correct.
wife's, which is different than your wife's.
Right.
And I think for a long time in my life, I thought it was like this, I had this superior ability to do like multiple things at the same time. And I was just doing them all poorly.
Yeah, and I think that's so. Kind of going back, it's important, like especially thinking about the message for the girls. Like, don't over-index on this value of multitasking in the framework that I think we generally use it as
Yeah.
this idea to be able to balance multiple things all at the exact same time, because you burn yourself out if you expend that much energy and you lose quality in the process. And as it relates to everything that we do, we never multitask. Like, if
Well, not
we're
never.
dead,
I'm doing it right
I
now.
mean, we try not to, but like if I'm focused on more in common, I'm doing that. If I'm focused on Microsoft, I'm doing that. If I'm focused on being a parent, I'm trying to do that. I'm doing a lot of things all at the same time, but really I'm focusing individual efforts at each time. So, just don't beat
And
yourself up if you can't do it.
I'll take that a step further on the advice tip and say, if you're looking at a job and the boss or the organization is really pushing, like, I want you to be a multitasker, like, that might be a red flag, that
Yeah.
they don't necessarily know what they want from you, that they don't know what they need from you. And so they're just
Mm,
like, I just want you to be a Swiss Army knife that can do whatever I need when I ask. And that
yeah.
could be a red flag, that you're going to get in there and be asked to do a whole bunch of things that you didn't expect to do, and expectations went online, and that could be problems down the road. So it could be a red flag.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, more in common. Daily Chronicle. Back out.
Peacing out.